The Second Amendment is valued by many Americans, especially those patriotic individuals who serve our country by enlisting in the military. It lets our men on the ground and in the sky neutralize threats to America's safety and security. The Second Amendment states, "A well-regulated militia being necessary to the security of a free state, the right to the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed." The following videos will show how the Army National Guard was part of the Constitution to protect our rights.
Well, the modern National Guard has its own interesting history, but the modern National Guard would more closely resemble something the founders called a select militia, which was kind of an elite, super well-trained militia. They really had this idea that in effect, the Second Amendment, the right to bear arms, was a tax. Basically, everyone had to support public defense, so therefore you would transfer that cost to individual households by making them buy their own gun, fire their own ammunition, show up. I mean, you could be fined if you didn't show up to muster. So what we often forget is that the Second Amendment actually gives government tremendous power over our lives.
The National Guard actually is mentioned in the Constitution. It gets its roots from the militias of the colonies. We celebrate the birthday of the National Guard is 1636. We're 375 years old, and we'll be 376 in December of this year. The National Guard, because of the militia heritage, has a dual mission. The Guard is organized in 54 states, or actually 50 states, 3 territories in the District of Columbia. And in non-federal status, they report to the governors of the states and territories. And they also do the dual mission of Homeland Security and domestic response for the governors of the states, as well as the federal mission in the overseas warfight.
E32 TLS, who wants to know, are our forces the well-regulated militia being necessary to the security of a state mentioned in the Second Amendment? I guess this person is a retired Sergeant First Class.
Well, to answer both questions, I think the question of if you look back in history, our founding fathers were very protective of the thought of keeping a small standing army and a well-regulated militia, and available and capable militia in case bad things happened. They were very wary of the large standing armies, European armies at the time, and armies cost money. You fast forward to the 21st century, after every conflict that the United States has been engaged in since the birth of our nation, we have always drawn down the military after an engagement.
What is your name?
My name is Jason Schermeyer.
What branch of the military are you currently in?
I am in the Army National Guard, and I'm also full-time for the Army National Guard for the state of Nebraska.
What's your position or rank?
I am the Operations NCO for the 72nd Civil Support Team for Weapons Mass Destruction, and my rank is Sergeant First Class. It's also an E7.
What do you do, and how does your job relate to the Constitution?
My job relates to the Constitution. Really, the National Guard was created under the Second Amendment, which is the right for the government to federalize the National Guard, to use them for nationwide responses. And my job in the unit I'm at is operations. So I basically control how the team operates on a footprint. So my team is made up of 22 individuals. It's 18 Army, 4 Air Force, and we do domestic support of civil authorities. So we help hazmat community, first responders, in identifying unknowns, such as chemicals, biologicals, nuclear devices, explosives, stuff of that nature. So some of the things that you might see us around is the College World Series, Super Bowls, Husker football games. We work all those events to make sure that nobody's bringing anything in that they shouldn't be bringing in, like explosives or some sort of chemical hazard that could be used in like a terrorist event. We have a mobile laboratory suite that helps identify those materials right there on scene. We have a big communications asset that helps us be able to talk to anybody within the local community or the country. And we provide our own internet, phone, stuff like that if all the networks were down. And one of the big jobs I do on the team is hazard modeling. So you might see weather patterns on TV with like rain and stuff moving across the country. I do that with like chemical releases or nuclear blasts and stuff like that to help notify the public of either to shelter in place, shut your doors, stay inside, or if you need to evacuate the area, or know what the health effects might be from that. So that's kind of like, that's what we do in a nutshell. So,
Thank you.
you're welcome.
In conclusion, the Constitution is without a doubt the single greatest document in the history of mankind. Our founding fathers ensured that the Second Amendment was made, and our Constitution, they were acting to ensure our present security and never endangered by tyrants, domestic or foreign. Thank you.